We did request that the town board consider the pending application for a zone change. I'm sure all the members of this board know that Mr. Paul has struggled with the zoning of his parcel for a number of years now. And the town has really worked with him to try to find a solution to that zoning. There's been some modifications in the types of uses that are allowed within the C1 zone to try to enhance the types of uses that are allowed on that property. But even that doesn't recognize the full scope of uses that are really there. You know, one of the primary uses that Mr. Paul has tried to accommodate on the site that would be allowed in the C2 zone versus the C1 zone is warehouse use. There's warehouse space on the property, you know, everyone's familiar with it, but it's not currently permitted to be used specifically for that purpose, independent of another existing use of the property. This proposal for changing the zoning was reviewed by the planning board, and it's interesting because your procedure for a change of zoning really has already been followed. The proposal for the rezoning was submitted for recommendation to the planning board. The planning board provided you with a recommendation back in February. The town board looked at it again in April. And this is after, as you know, many, many years of already having considered the zoning of this parcel. It's not new to anybody. And yet, all we're trying to do is get to a final resolution on this particular property. If the town is committed to complete its comprehensive plan by the end of this year, it probably makes sense to participate in that process rather than to try to do this independently. But if that process is going to go on and on, like the process for the comprehensive plan has over the last years, I mean, it was 2009 when the draft was done. Mr. Paul has been waiting for longer than 2009 for an answer on this particular issue for zoning. It's too long. You have a positive recommendation from the planning board already that recognizes that C2 zoning is appropriate for this parcel. If we can get a commitment from the board that this process will be completed by the end of the year, and that we can then move forward with the application that's now pending, we would ask the board not to take action on this tonight, but instead to table the proposal until the end of the year, and hopefully the comprehensive plan is adopted, and we will participate in that comprehensive plan process to try to assure that the interests of my client and the interests of other commercial property owners in that area can be accommodated through that process. Thank you.
I'd like to respond to that, and that I think our commitment to have this done by the end of this year is firm. I was involved with that original committee in 2009, and that we submitted. We worked very hard. It was just rejected. And so, I mean, we need it approved. We've got to get a comprehensive plan. And so, I think this town board is very committed to have that done. Because you're absolutely right. I mean, we worked 3 years on it, and in 2009 it died. So here we are, 2012. It's already outdated, the stuff that we wrote in 2009 needs to be updated. So we have a very good committee of people, and I think it's very balanced, and that it is our intense desire to have it done by the end of this year.
And I'll second that. I know when I first came into office and Mr. Paul approached me and Gino sitting there one night, I said, you know, I'd like you to be patient. I know you've had this history, you know, and this, every one of these tabs is a reference to that property. So it's been going on since, you know, 96 or something like that. And I can appreciate his patience, and I know it's starting to wear thin. I was hoping actually to have a comprehensive plan engaged a lot sooner than this. You know, it was always my intention to push it, and that is actually kind of the reason I'm going to be sitting on board. I'm really going to be pushing the schedule as a project manager. I'm going to be pushing it. No, I really, you know, I've stated my intentions and what I'd like to see out of it, but the rest of it, you know, is up to the committee to make the changes. But to your question about is the town board committed to the completion of that project or to the comprehensive plan? Absolutely. Matter of fact, I was debating whether to write these resolution as a completion in December or actually for November so they can have it submitted to the county. So that's my commitment, and that's actually the reason I think I've talked to Pat and pretty much everybody on the board. It's my, on the comprehensive committee, is that's my purpose to be there, is to push the committee through. You know, make sure we get pieces done every night that we're meeting. You know, if there's 14 chapters, we read 14 nights. I'd like to see 14 chapters done in 14 nights. I mean, so that's my thought.
Excuse me, if I could just add two more things. If you could let folks know when those committee meetings are going to be held, so that we could participate in them. And I would also ask if you could make part of the record of the Comprehensive Plan Committee, the process that Mr. Paul has already gone through. Because I think that's relevant to consideration of the zoning of at a minimum that parcel, and probably the parcels that are within the vicinity, because it has a history of being recognized for a commercial use, a multitude of commercial uses, and we think that that's relevant for those things that the Comprehensive Plan Committee needs to consider in evaluating uses that are relevant.
My thought on, and I'm just remembering when Joe and the other committees went through, what I would like to do, and I've talked to Pat about this, and I think we're in agreement, is I would actually, and I should probably do it right now, is have a resolution. I would like to open up the committee with a public hearing and ask, I've already talked to some of the, you know, obviously, Mr. Paul come in and give his thoughts, or you can give your thoughts for him, but there's also other citizens in the town that didn't necessarily agree with the comprehensive plan, and my thought was like before the comprehensive plan committee really gets engaged in determining, you know, the future here, is that they take the feedback ahead of time, incorporate it into their thoughts, and then at the end we can public hear it again. But rather hear the comments up front, incorporate them, and then execute. So, the reason we brought this up is because there was rumblings around there's going to be a lawsuit, and that's why it's on the agenda tonight.
I'm not sure where that came from.
I'm pretty sure we all know where it came from. But we're going to skip it. I'm willing to table it. I'm willing to listen to the rest of the table, the rest of the committees, you know, or the town board, their thoughts, you know, to comment on it.
The goal is to move the process forward.
That's right.
And to try to come to fruition on an application. And my client has demonstrated a long history of working with the town on these issues. So we're a couple more months is not great, and I know that that's not going to be something that he's going to be looking forward to. But if that's what it takes to get it done, but if it does get done, then that's what we need to say.
Right. And if I may add, our old committee, all of our meetings are open to the public, and I think that it's important that the public be aware and participate. So,
Thank you.
I really want this to happen.
So we
Any, there's no legal ramifications to us not taking action on a zoning petition or I mean, they're requesting it.
Right.
And they're consenting.
So you're good to table it?
Sure.
All right. Mr. Myers?
I'm fine with it.
Let's table it. All right. Got one more resolution. We have to go backwards here a little bit. Rules governing public access to meetings for the town board in town of Princetown. I just passed these out. As soon as we're done, we'll give it to the citizens. Mike actually gave this to me today. It's not a major change, it's just to anything we're doing now. We're not restricting anybody's time to speak, we're just asking people to be considerate of how much time they speak, but we're not restricting any, again, any subjects or time to speak. It's just some rules about actually video recording. I guess what we're asking is that, since we're asking Amy to video record for the town, as part of the town, that she get preferential treatment as far as where she's going to set up her equipment. I'm not sure if you want me to read through the document. Due to the time, I'm okay to table this if we want, and give everybody a little chance to read it, but it's, I've actually read this, I think it's in the Association of Towns Handbook. The only piece I really changed that is, this is actually, so this is going to be tabled, this is the wrong one. It's tabled. It's not accurate. It's not the one I proposed. In section D there, section 4, bullet B, is inaccurate. I wrote that, and this has got to be original, so I didn't change it. So, sorry folks, table that one.
Was there a meeting that I missed that there was competing videography equipment or something like that?
Actually, these policies are suggested by the Committee on Open Government.
Okay.
They have a sample policy on their website that pretty much tracks. So it's not, it's just they recommend all municipalities to adopt the policy. Whether you have your meetings videographed or not, but just as part of informing the public of their right to record meetings and things like that. So,
Okay.
I think we just had one meeting where Amy and another resident were video recording. But as Mike said, I just wanted to document this is the official, so we'll table it for now. That's all right with everybody. So that takes care of the new business for the town. I'd like to again open this back up to public comment.
Regarding the resolution on page 6, the town board authorized and required the town clerk to make available to the town supervisor all town records, the former supervisors. Earlier this year, former Supervisor Whiteley stood before this town board and said something to the effect that she disseminated documents to proper staff and the remainder was turned over to the town clerk. So I don't look at this as anybody trying to harass the town clerk. Mike, as supervisor here, he needs his documentation to do his job, to do his job effectively. So I just want to make my comment about that. And the next one down regarding the junk car. Carol, you might remember better than me, but someone over on the corner of Pangburn donated the truck, the panel truck, and I think we discussed this at one of the civic committee meetings, that he basically had to turn the title over to the town, and that he had asked for some type of receipt for charitable donation. I don't know what happened with that, but I think we left it at is that you were in charge, you had the title itself. So you don't have the title? That's it. I believe that was discussed at one of the civic committee meetings because I think.
No, I don't.
I don't know.
You can check
It's
with
been
Doug,
out
he might
years.
have it.
So I was just thinking if Mr. Esposito had a place to dispose of it. I don't know if you need the title. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. comment portion of the meeting. Open it up for councilman concerns. One piece here in discussion, I thought Doug Cole would be here to talk about his proposal for Norman Skill Creek Bank stabilization. I do have the proposal, or the single proposal that Carol gave me, so I'll make copies and I'll get it to everybody. I need to reach out to Tom Lacko again from NCRS, because I need to get his documentation, and especially to Mike to review. But it looks like McDonald Engineering's got their proposal together for the cost of the stabilization along the town's pump house there and Mr. Hayden's property. So more to come on that. I thought Doug would be here tonight, but in that case, we'll just open this up to councilman concerns, and we'll start with Mr. Myers.
I've just been thinking about our conversation earlier in regards to with Carol. I did not mean to be pointing fingers or casting stones. I guess I just felt, just a little bit why I would be one that would be narrowed down, or us as board members, I guess. So if I came across, I didn't mean it to be casting stones in any way. I guess I just thought if there was a problem, that maybe we should have had it checked out. I was not, I have no reason to go in the safe, and I wouldn't even know what I was doing there if I did get in there, but.
I thought it was broken into, I would have taken action.
Okay, and that's all I was asking, just for a little more explanation, so. But other than that, I don't have any other further concerns.
Good deal. Thank you, Bob. Mr. Myers? Councilman Myers? Councilman Brzezinski?
Come on, get it right.
Big job.
No, I'd like to talk about the same thing. Mr. Edwards said that we're harassing the town clerk. We're not harassing the town clerk. The letter that I got from you, though, Carol, was latent with innuendo, that you guys are doing something, or something funny is happening, you know what I'm saying?
Something funny did happen, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know, I wasn't there, and I didn't feel like I had to respond to your deadline at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
There you go, there was no cooperation.
And so, there was no cooperation, because you took it upon yourself to become the taskmaster.
Records management.
So
I don't.
I'm not gonna go through it, okay, I'm done with it, I'm done. I'm done, Joe.
unfortunately,
You can say whatever.
there's too
So
much
anyway-
that has transpired. I just for the record, I would like to read the email, just so that we can, I keep putting out this perception that there was some accusatory email. To all, again, very strange things are going on. The vault, which is locked every night, has been rearranged, parentheses, courtside. One shelf holding court records will be totally empty with boxes on the floor. It does not appear that town records have been touched, but I can't say for sure. Would like to hear from every board member, parentheses, including the deputy supervisor, by 4 p.m. today, that hopefully know nothing about the situation. Assuming, in my own reading that kind of lends an inference that her perception is that we probably weren't involved. To Bob's point, I don't think any of us really had any reason to be involved and wouldn't know what to do if we were in there in the first place. So, I think, unfortunately, just being real, there's, some stuff between everybody that plays into everybody's perception and how they behave. And unfortunately, it precipitates into a lot of non-productive stuff. When, again, like I went earlier, I just said, for me, I just said, wasn't me. Took about 4 words and moved on. So.
All right, Mr. Brzezinski, more? Any of your additional concerns? No. Mr.
I'm not
Esposito?
even going to respond to that anymore, because I don't think we answer to the town board members, don't answer the town clerk. That's all I'm going to say about that matter. The other thing I'm going to bring up is our zoning board chairman is in contact with me, and he has stated that there is individuals that have not showed up for 1 meeting. He's not here tonight, but and he wants to know if he's even gone as far as sending a letter and got no response. In my opinion, anybody that's appointed to the board and they don't, and they continually do not show up. He was at one meeting when he only had 3 people, and it was something important that had to be resolved. And if people aren't going to show up, they agree to be on the board and they don't show up, I think that that there's something that our town board should do, either to ask them to leave or appoint somebody else in their place. But you can't have people that are going to take on a responsibility and then not show up for whatever reason. And if they haven't showed up since January and it's now August, I don't believe they should be on